and welcome to My College Coaches video coaching series. My name is Sarah, and I'll be your coach today for Filling Out Applications 101. In this session, we'll discuss the different types of college applications. We'll talk about drafting your applications, and specifically we'll walk through the Common App, or the Common Application. We'll talk about handling multiple applications and how you make sure that you get all of your applications done. We'll talk about finalizing your applications and actually submitting them. So, first up, what are the different types of college applications? The first and most common one is the Common Application, frequently referred to as the Common App. Then there are the supplements. Usually each college that accepts the Common Application does require one or two supplements of its own. There are also school-specific applications. Not all schools actually accept the Common Application, and some schools accept both the Common App and a school-specific application. Then there's also the difference between online applications and hard copy applications. More and more schools these days are putting their college applications online so that you can submit them through the internet. But many schools, or most, still have a hard copy application that you could mail in, basically, paper, mail, that sort of thing. Sometimes the benefit, however, of the online application is that many schools will waive the application fee, so it's something to think about. Now, when drafting your application, start with the Common Application. You're probably applying to more than one school, but likely at least one of the schools that you're applying to accepts the Common Application. Because the Common Application is, well, common and is supposed to fit all of the different types of schools' requirements, we recommend that you actually start with that application so that you can sort of organize your thoughts and get one out of the way before dealing with school-specific applications. When you're getting ready to fill out your applications, print out a hard copy, even if you're likely to submit the application online. Print out copies of all applications you're going to submit, because you're going to want to do a draft before you actually submit a final copy. Get a pencil with a good eraser, because you're going to fill out all of your applications, whether you submit them in hard copy or online, in pencil first, so that you can rearrange things, catch mistakes, and improve it before you actually put pen to paper. Plan on getting your applications perfect in pencil first. Obviously, not the quickest route, but we're trying for perfection here. This isn't a speed race. They don't actually read the applications until after the deadline, so there's no benefit in putting yours in first. Now, because we're going to spend some time getting it perfect, make sure you leave plenty of time in your schedule for editing and review of your applications. Again, it's not a race. We're looking to give the best application possible, and therefore we're going to spend some time getting it right. So, let's start with the Common Application. It's accepted by more than 400 schools, and that number goes up every year. It is a standard application. It basically encompasses what you're likely to find on every other school's application. However, because it is common to all schools, it doesn't have school-specific questions, and so each school usually requires some sort of supplement that goes along with the Common Application. The most common of the supplements is sort of a short essay that basically addresses why you want to go to the specific school to which you're applying. It makes perfect sense because nowhere on the Common Application is there any specific question that relates to the given school. The Common Application can be submitted online, although it can also be submitted in hard copy. And like we were discussing earlier, it's a good place to start your applications because it will make you think through all the different questions that you're likely to encounter on your other applications. So let's take a walk through the Common App. Print it out first. Google Common Application and print it out. Now, once you've printed it out, let's take a look at page 1. Page 1 is pretty basic. It's the applicant section. It's basically what's your name, phone number, address, that sort of thing. However, it gets more detailed pretty quickly. It asks for your future plans, and they're school-specific. The schools that you're applying to, and what perhaps, depending on the school, what you'd like to major in there. There's also a section about demographics. It asks what your race is, that sort of thing. Don't feel discouraged from filling this out. They are not going to hold anything against you, but schools do indeed try to balance their demographics. Page 2 is about your family, about your parents, guardians, and siblings. It asks what level of education they've gotten to and what schools they went to. This can be important if your family is going to the same school as you're applying to. It has to do with something that's known as a legacy. Some schools will prefer applicants whose parents and/or siblings went to that school as well. Page 3 is about your education. It's about the education you've had so far in high school. It's got its academics part and the score submission. Basically, it goes through and asks for the different courses that you've been taking, your grades, and the score submission rules. This is different this year. Each school has its own rules for what SAT and ACT scores you have to submit. Now, the Common Application specifically says give your best score for each section of the tests. However, some schools do still require you to submit all score results, regardless of whether or not they were your best ones. You need to refer to the individual school policy that you're applying to in order to make sure that you follow their guidelines. Page 4 of the Common Application has to do with your honors, extracurriculars, and work experience. This is why we have the pencil out, because for these types of things, it asks for your top 5 in the case of honors and top 12 in the case of extracurriculars and work experience. Some students are going to have more than 5 awards and more than 12 different extracurricular activities and work experience. Particularly with the extracurriculars and work experience, think about how you probably held a different job every summer. If you babysat during the year, all the different clubs that you were in, all the different sports that you played. You might easily get over 12, and so the Common Application asks you to rank them in order of their importance to you. Same thing with the honors. You've got to think strategically here, because if you were on the honor roll all 4 years in high school, you don't want to spend 4 of your 5 slots saying honor roll X year. You're going to combine them, so you're going to write honor roll years 2010 to 2012. The way that this works is that you want to make sure that you condense everything so that you can fit in as much as possible in the slots allotted to you. This is why you have your pencil handy, because you need to brainstorm how you're going to put this together. One way that I've seen it done that's pretty creative, particularly on extracurriculars, is if you've done a bunch of different service projects, you just put something generic, like service projects hyphen number of hours of service per year, and then you list the years. You don't necessarily need to get into the details of each individual service project in this part of the Common App. There are other places you can do that. So once you get through that page, which is pretty difficult and probably one of the hardest you'll deal with, you go to page 5, which isn't a whole lot easier. The first part of page 5 is a short answer, and the short answer asks you to sort of expound on one of your extracurricular activities. It's open-ended, and you need to think about how you want to answer it. This is not a place where you just sort of write whatever you feel like down. Take a look back at the previous page and think of what doesn't actually come across as the fullness of your experience based on what you put in that block. And again, I'm going to go back to the service example. If you just put down community service dash number of hours, you didn't necessarily capture the breadth of the experience that you had, the commitment to it, the number of groups and causes that you were involved with. The short answer on page 5 would be a great place to go into something like that. Then, of course, on page 5 are the calls for the essay. The Common Application gives you a couple of different ideas for essay topics, but then, of course, it leaves one at the very bottom for basically an open call, where you can write about anything you want. The Common Application does specifically say that you should not have an answer that is school-specific. However, most of the colleges have supplements where they basically ask you to write essay part 2 on why you want to go to that particular